this week. You can watch all NWSL Challenge Cup matches streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus, and the championship match will be on CBS. Let's get into maybe an overview of this. If folks are new to the league, if folks are new to NWSL, there's some minor differences, right, from this year's Challenge Cup versus last year's Challenge Cup. This is the third annual time for the Challenge Cup. It began in 2020. It was the first professional sports league to do a bubble and do it 100% successfully with 0 positive cases. It was a huge event, monumental, quite frankly. NWSL will forever kind of have that glory, I guess, so to speak, in that very unprecedented time. It was the first contact team sport to return to play at the peak of the pandemic. And with the success of that event, there has been a Challenge Cup every year since 2020. So now for 2022 is going to be the third annual event. This time it's there's enough teams to sort of break things down into regional groups. There were also regional groups last year, but it's expanding from a 10-team league to a 12-team league, with the 3 regional groups still composed of 4 teams, breaking down into an East region, a Central region, and a West region. Lisa?
Yes, for the East. Logically, it's done regionally because these teams like travel wise. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But each East region will be New York, New Jersey, Gotham FC, North Carolina Courage, Orlando Pride, and Washington Spirit. The Central region will be Chicago Red Stars, Houston Dash, Kansas City Current, and Racing Louisville FC. And then the West region, 2 expansion clubs in this one, Angel City FC and San Diego Wave, along with OL Reign and Portland Thorns. So these 3 groups, 4 teams each, and each of these groups are going to play in a double round robin matches. So each team will play 6 matches, which is a change from last year. Last year, each club only played 4 matches. So upping that this year, which is fun. It starts on Friday, March 18th, and the semifinals are going to take place Wednesday, May 4th, with the Challenge Cup final happening on Saturday, May 7th. This game is going to air on CBS. There's a handful of games airing on big CBS, but everything else will be on Paramount Plus throughout the Challenge Cup. It starts with the group stages, each team playing 6 matches in this double round robin and point system as NWSL usually does. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and 0 points for a loss. Then the semifinal, you still need 4 teams. So it'll be the top teams in each group making it through to the semifinals, but then also one of the number 2 teams, the top number 2 team in all 3 of the groups will advance to the semifinals. So you even have a chance if you don't outright win your group, but you have the most points compared to the other second place teams, you still could squeak through to the semifinals.
Yeah, I like with the expansion of the league, right? That included maybe the adjustment of some rules for the Challenge Cup a little bit. So it's not, there's already a couple things where we can point at and say, this is a little bit different from its inaugural, year in 2020, or even versus last year in 2021, in that it's not just about who's winning number 1 in their group. It's you can actually compete based on points if you're number 2. And then obviously I think with this sort of being kind of it's being viewed a little bit as the preseason tournament, right? Because it's going to be the first bit of NWS action for some of these clubs outside of their preseason. There are some clubs who have gone head to head already in some preseason scrimmages, but this one's going to be for points. This one's going to be for a title, right? It's the first shot at a title in 2022. So it's exciting to sort of take a look at how these teams are going to be broken down into the groups and kind of have to note the rules a little bit, because I think when it comes to these kind of preseason-y vibe type of games, you have to maybe kind of keep in the back of your mind tiebreakers, right?
Yeah.
Lisa, we love to talk about tiebreakers sometimes when it comes to this league.
You honestly have to talk about them because so many times, when you reflect on the 2021 season, came down to some tiebreakers at the end of it. Every week we were like, well, if this holds. So yeah, tiebreakers are always involved. It's goal differential and the greatest number of goals scored, then number of points in the group matches between the two teams that are concerned, if that makes sense. And it kind of goes all the way down to red card and yellow card accumulation, which is a possibility. So there are tiebreakers listed out there, which I hate to say it, but I have a feeling we might fall into this. It's tiebreakers listed out in the rules that I will be keeping a close hand on, especially as I'm calling these games, because
Yeah.
you need to keep that in the back of your mind as you're watching something. Goal differential is huge. And in the regular season and in the Challenge Cup, if you have a 3-0 lead and you let up a goal, that's really good for your opponents because now they have a goal against you and you lost your clean sheet. So there's so many different factors that come into it. But ultimately 4 teams will head into the semifinals. First place team will play against fourth, and then number 2 and number 3 will compete against each other. But games can end in a tie throughout the Challenge Cup. It's very possible. We're not going into extra time. The games will end in regulation. So no overtime, first overtime, second overtime, none of that, just ending in a tie at the end of it. But semifinal rounds, those 2 matches on Wednesday, May 4th, if it's a tie at the end of regulation, those games will go directly into penalty kicks. I think there'll be like a 5-minute break or something just for teams to kind of assess themselves. But whoever is on the pitch at the end of regulation, they're either going to be taking or saving the penalty kicks, right? It goes straight into penalty kicks.
Just gonna go straight to drama. I love
I
that.
kind of like that energy. Like we gotta get a winner or a loser here. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Carry on. Keep it moving. Yeah, no, there's a ton of with the third annual event, it's the additional rules, the additional tiebreakers that are put into place. I mean, they're in there for a reason, obviously, to make sure that the tournament runs smoothly. But just sort of taking note of some of these things, it's expanding into the games, right? It's not going to be just 4 games; it's going to be 6 games. And sort of, we noted within the rules some other interesting components that we wanted to mention because, yes, this is 2022; it's the third annual event, et cetera, et cetera. But there's still things that can happen, right? Unfortunately, people are still navigating, an ongoing pandemic, in certain markets, and there's some things within the rules that even point out to these games that in the event a scheduled game is postponed for any reason, there's going to be an effort to try to find an alternate date to play the match. But for whatever reason, it's absolutely impossible to reschedule the match. There's going to be no points awarded for that match specifically because it was unable to be played. And then there's further rules talking about, if a match was postponed and canceled due to negligence by a participating team, forfeitures will come into play, right? And we're mentioning this because we had to cover a NWSL 2021 season where there were forfeitures that were issued for the first time. So these are things that we're going to be keeping an eye on during Challenge Cup as well, because that's also within the rules. And it's noting that even with potential cancellations, even with the potential to not have any points awarded, that teams have to play at least 4 matches in order to be eligible to advance to a semifinal.
Yeah, so it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things spelled out there. But you mentioned the forfeitures, possible rescheduling of matches, and if they can't play the game, it'll just be zeros across the board. But it's also interesting, which we talked about when the framework of the 2022 year came out between the Challenge Cup and the NWSL regular season. The Challenge Cup final has been set since the draft, when this initial quote framework of the season came out, to be on Saturday, May 7th. That was when the NWSL Challenge Cup was going to have their final, and it was going to be on CBS.
Yeah.
Then they announced that the regular season was actually going to start before the Challenge Cup ends. So there are going to be regular season matches on May 7th. So that's also just like something to keep in mind as this quote unquote preseason tournament of the Challenge Cup is happening. If you make it to the Challenge Cup final, you do have to cancel your regular season game for that day or that weekend because you're not going to play a Friday, Saturday. So does that de-incentivize teams to make it to the Challenge Cup final?
We're both shrugging. For people who aren't watching this, we're like,
I mean,
Shrug a
if
little.
you're gonna we play this game sometimes, Sandra, where I get the coach's hat, I get the whiteboard, I
Yep.
get the dry erase marker. Yeah, as cool as it is to win the Challenge Cup, and that's a trophy, and that's huge for your club. I mean, it's a trophy. It's one of the 4 that you could win in a year in the NWSL. It means more to get 3 points in a regular season game than it does to get 3 points in a Challenge Cup game. It means more, and now this is kind of where the question comes down to it. Does it mean more to get 3 points and a win in a regular season NWSL game,
Yeah.
or to play in a championship game? Because you're not guaranteed to win that one.
Yep.
I'm just saying play in it, compete in it.
Yeah.
And if you lose and you're the runners up to the Challenge Cup, you just wasted 3 points. And now you have to reschedule a regular season game that could potentially make shorter rest days in between other games, difficult travel, like kind of throws off the rest of your
Yeah.
schedule.
And
I don't know.
a lot of this is us, reacting to the fact that to information and reporting that's already out there, right,
Yeah.
regarding the schedule. Because you and I, in terms of us at this time of recording, there is no actual NWSL regular season schedule out at the moment. We're just operating around what the information that is in front of us, available to us in regards to Challenge Cup. So there's a number of things to take into consideration as we really take this first step into Challenge Cup week. In terms of just a quick preview of the cup, what's again for everybody, the tournament's going to kick off with a rematch of last year's regular season opener between the Kansas City Current and Racing Louisville FC. It's going to be hosted at Lynn Family Stadium, and the opening day festivities will close out with one of the top rivalries in women's soccer as Oil Rain hosts the 2021 Challenge Cup winners Portland Thorns FC, and they're going to face off at Lumens Field in Seattle, Washington. If you need more information, I got you hooked up. You can head on over to cbssports.com and go check out the article on everything about Challenge Cup.